Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Delphine Konda, and if you're just joining me for the first time, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, to like, to share, to comment, especially on the kind of content that you love to see me produce on this channel. Today, I would like us to talk about the Chevening Scholarship, especially on the tips on how to go through the interview process successfully. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, the Chevening Scholarship is awarded to outstanding individuals to study a master's in any UK university for 1 year. This is awarded by the Foreign and Commonwealth Office of the UK, so the UK government. And a few years back, I was able to get a Chevening Scholarship, an amazing opportunity which enabled me to study at the London School of Economics and Political Science for 1 year. And everything was fully funded by the UK government. So of course, I'm very passionate about the scholarship, and I would recommend the scholarship to anyone who is trying to build their career by taking further studies. So if you have received an email telling you that you've been shortlisted for interview, let me be one of the very first to say a massive congratulations, because guys, Chevening is very, very competitive, and if you have been invited for interview, that means that they have found your application good enough. They just want to get to know you more, to ask you more questions about what you wrote in your application. They just want to see how you think, to analyze your thought pattern, to see you defend what you wrote. So there is really no need for you to panic. Just go in there with full confidence and repeat what you wrote in your application, and everything is going to be fine. So what are some of the things that you need to do in order for you to successfully go through a Chevening interview process? Guys, the first one is that you need to practice. I cannot overemphasize this. Practice as if you're going to write some public exam. Practice. Practice your application, what you submitted initially, your written application, your essays. Practice it word for word. Another way for you to practice your application, aside from really studying it, is by doing mock interviews. Do mock interviews with your friends, with your family members. Give them the questions that you submitted and the answers that you wrote, and let them ask you the same questions, and you make an effort to answer the questions, and then they should give you critiques and tips on how well you are doing. That way you prepare yourself for the real interview. One of the best ways that I recommend for practicing through mock interview is by doing so with a Chevening scholar. If you happen to know a Chevening scholar, please approach them and find out if they can do the mock interview with you. The reason why I insist on talking with a Chevening scholar is because they've been through the process before. They understand what is needed, and they'll be better placed to give you feedback as to how well you are preparing for your interview. In my own time, I had the amazing opportunity of working with my friend and sister, Rose Washuka, who also happens to be a Chevening scholar and studied at the Oxford University. She was the one who proposed that we do a mock interview, and by the time we were done, guys, I went in for my interview. Some of the questions that girl asked me, they just popped up as if she knew they were going to come. But I want to imagine that it's because she's been through that process before, and she knows what is expected, and she was able to guide me. And guys, if I hadn't had that mock interview with Rose, I wouldn't have been able to answer the questions as well as I did. That girl is so amazing, and I'm so grateful for having her. The next recommendation that I have is that when practicing your Chevening application, you can just read through the application and record it as an audio file. Store it in your mobile phone and then use an earpiece. You know, there are some people that are really busy. They don't have the time to really sit down because they are already dealing with their jobs and families and all of that. So you could just listen to the file like music, you know, Maybe you're doing grocery shopping, maybe you're working out, or you're doing some house chores. You can just be listening to what you wrote. Read it out aloud on your mobile phone. Just record it and listen it, play it over and over again until you're confident that if they ask you anything in that application, you are going to respond. But guys, no matter what you do on the day of your interview, do not deviate from what you wrote in the application. That is going to create you so much work, and you have a lot of defending to do. Don't deviate from what you wrote in your application. Another tip to successfully navigate the Chevening interview process is by knowing the British High Commission priority areas in your country. How do you know this? Just go to the website of the British High Commission in your country. Every country has its own website, so just locate the website for your country. Look at what their interests are. Look at the thematic areas in which they work. Look at the things that make news on that website, and then you will know that that is what they are interested in. Go to their social media pages. Look at the kind of projects that they fund, the kind of events they organize, the kind of press conferences they hold, the kind of local leaders that they profile, and what those leaders are doing. It will give you an idea of the kind of interest that the British High Commission in your country has. For me, my priority area will be women's empowerment, gender equality, education of the girl child. So you have to look at what the priority in your country is and how that priority relates to what you're going to study in the UK. That way, when you go for your interview and a question like that comes up, you'll be able to make that link. Familiarize yourself with the current happenings in your country, in the political, in the social, in the economic, in the cultural aspect. Just familiarize yourself. I believe that they want to know how you analyze situation, how you interpret situation. They just want to have your perspective about current issues in your country. In my own time, the guy that was interviewing me literally said that I should list one problem affecting each of the 10 regions in Cameroon and provide a solution to each of the problems that I've listed. And guys, Cameroon has 10 regions, so basically I had to identify 10 problems and then provide 10 solutions. And then he basically said to me, like, you have to do all of this in 1 minute. And he was like, 1, 2, go. And he was like, first region, I said the problem, and he will be like, problem, I will say it. He said solution, and then I said it. And then number 2, number 3. And I think we got to like number 4 region, and then he told me to stop. So over the years, when I started coaching applicants, I kept on reminding them, like, you have to know what's happening in your regions, all the regions in your country, everything that is happening in your country. No. Equally important while attending your interview is that don't just think about only the academic aspect, like the strictly classroom aspect of studying in the UK. Think about the historical landmarks. Look at the city that your university is located in. Mine was LSE, London. So I had to research, like, what are some of the historical landmarks in London? What are some of the touristic places that I would like to see? What are some of the areas that are of cultural importance to me? All those things. I remember talking, I think I talked about the London Bridge. I talked about the Big Ben, and look at those things so that the person that is interviewing you knows that you know your stuff, you know what you're going to do, you've already done your research. Google past questions. There are many questions online that past Cheveners will always put online. There are many websites. I'll try as much as possible to see if I can find a few and leave a link in the description section of this video. Try to Google past questions, look at the questions. I think those questions are just going to be the same questions as the ones that you responded to when you submitted your application. But I just believe that having question asked from different angles will give you a broad perspective of how to go about responding to them. Don't go late. If you already know where your interview is going to take place, go a few days before. Try to locate where the interview will take place and see how you are going to leave your house to the interview venue. In my time, I did my interview at the British High Commission in Yaoundé. And although I used to live in Yaoundé at the time, Yaoundé is a big city and I had no idea where the British High Commission was. So I took a few days before my interview, went around scouting for the location. I looked around and I found out where the commission was located and how I was to leave my house to the place, because I didn't want to be stuck in traffic, guys. When you go late for an interview because you were stuck in traffic or for whatever reason, you become very anxious, and anxiety has a way to make you panic and you forget basically everything that you've prepared in your mind. So I didn't want that kind of stress. So it will not do you any harm if you take a few days before your interview and try to locate the place where your interview will be taking place. When you get into your interview and you're talking to the people, of course, don't forget to remember their names when they introduce themselves. Try as much as possible to remember their names. Call them by their names when you're responding to them. Make eye contact with them. Be polite, be calm. Don't rush in responding to the questions at all. If they ask a question that you don't understand, guys, please, they are human beings like you and I. Kindly tell them to repeat the question, or tell them that you don't understand the question so that they can give you some form of clarification before you respond. Don't be rude. Of course, don't be rude, because they are going to test you. They are going to make sure that they ask you questions that will test your wits, that will put you under some little form of pressure, just to see how is it that you answer, how you share your perspective, how you interpret questions, those kind of things. They just want to know, to be sure that you are the best candidate and that you deserve to get the scholarship. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you did enjoy watching the video, please don't forget to subscribe, to like, to share, to comment. If you have more questions about the Chevening interview process, please don't forget to contact me on Instagram and Facebook, and I will do all I can to respond to your questions as soon as possible. I wish you all the best with your interview process, and until we meet again, don't forget to create some impact.